Hi guys, welcome back to the check-in. This is going to be part 2 of Djing. In the last video I spoke about some influences about the 90s and some of the types of things that I grew up listening to. Things like the grid. I didn't mention everything, but I mentioned the grid and listening to the charts and all that kind of thing, all that sort of thing. But there was a lot of other things that I'd listened to growing up as well, like Moby and Jean-Michel Jarre, Kraftwerk, a lot of monumental just geniuses really in terms of the music, in regards to music, electronic music. And then and so a lot of the influences, I guess, that crept into my interest into dance music really came from electronic music, but it wasn't dance music as such. Although some of it was, like the grid. You could perhaps something like the Human League, Soft Cell, Flock of Seagulls, Gary Newman, you name it, all sorts of lots of different types of influence. Blondie, so many things. But dance music itself, I think one of the very first that I can recall vividly is listen to the Firestarter by the Prodigy. I believe it was in 1996, 1997, at my aunt's house, my my Auntie Pat's house. I don't know if it was on the radio or it was on the TV. I can't remember. I think it might have been on the radio or something, but I remember it being played a lot, and it was just something about that track that stuck with me. And it's not particularly complex produced track really, but it's just the way it's just there's just something very impactful about the track. And I guess that's kind of why that's exactly what the Prodigy was and is even now. And sadly passed. Keith's unfortunately passed away. Rest in peace. But yeah, so listen to the Prodigy. I think a lot. Listen to the radio. I think and watching the TV at my aunt is when I used to go with my brother, my older brother Kevin, and my mother. We used to go down to her house. I don't know, Fridays, maybe Friday night. I can't remember, but it was definitely mid to late nights for sure. So that was a big influence. And then growing up, coming through school and listening to the music before I used to go to school. There's a track called by the Wamju. I think it's a Wamju project, called "The King of My Castle." That's something that I think that's a 1995 track, but I don't think I heard it in 95. I think I might have heard it in 96, 97. And that's something that stuck with me. It was, for some reason, there's just certain tracks that just stood with me from being a kid, and then coming through my teenage years, especially when I was about 10 or 11, there was a lot of good dance music, chart music around. There was a lot of cringy shit as well. You could say that about every decade, commercial music, but yeah, there was certainly a lot of influences in terms of house in the late night, like really 2000s, early 2000s, so up until about 2002, 2003 time, something around there. And then. So I kind of grew when I was about 10 or 11 or what, I think probably around that time. My dad got Sky. It might have even been earlier than that. And I used to watch the MTV. I mentioned it in the last video a lot when my parents used to go out. And don't forget, there was a real explosion in the electronic dance music scene in the mid, well, yeah, really the mid to late '90s, and then it's sort of petering out, petering out in the really in the mid 2000s. Um, in my opinion, that's just my opinion, but I think it started to die towards the middle of the 2000 period. Although you could say with EDM and dubstep and trap and all that sort of stuff, crap as I call it, trap that is, it's, there might be a resurgence, whatever. But I think as in terms of really good quality, original, interesting dance music, it started to die away from the sort of mid 2000s. But growing up, listen to stuff on the radio, listen to the charts, the top 40, listen to stuff on MTV, various channels on there, hip hop, R&B, garage. Of course, garage was massively popular in the early 2000s, late 90s and 2000, early 2000s. I grew up listening to DJ Luck and MC Neat, the Streets, all sorts of stuff, tracks, probably tracks by Wookie and also just all sorts of different things. And I didn't really, I didn't even really know of the term drum and bass until I was probably about 20, I think, about 20, 21. And that's and one of the reasons I got into drum and bass it was really because of my ex-partner, actually. Um, listened to being introduced to Adam F and his infamous album, and getting into hospitality records and Exit and most like metalheads and all that sort of stuff. Just no, I'm not a die hard fan or anything of drum and bass. I said I don't listen to it 24/7, but I do enjoy drum and bass. But I enjoy garage as well. I enjoy dubstep. I enjoy house. I enjoy minimal house, deep house, tech house. Different style, liquid drum and bass, some jump up stuff. Dubstep and more into the sort of minimal, sort of the original dubstep sound, really, which was really influenced by garage, burial, fella, and sort of some of the more minimal side of dubstep stuff, sort of chill step, whatever it's classed as, whatever you want to call it. But I've got so many different interests in dance music, electronic music, and it's not just dance music. I like stuff that's not has no wasn't produced for the intention of a dance floor. I like a lot of ambient music, things like by people like Steve Roach and Robert Rich. Just a couple of people. And I still like listening to 70s music, 80s music, sometimes 60s, 50s stuff. Always trying to find new music. I'm always trying to find interesting original stuff, and not just stuff to DJ with, just to listen to. And of course, like I've mentioned in another video about classical music, I'm very much interested in choral, piano, organ music, some orchestral stuff. I tend to go through phases with regards to music. I tend to go through maybe a week or two where I'm interested in electronic music, and then I'll have a week or two where I'm more interested in classical stuff, or it'll be a mixture of that. But I don't have decks. I mean, not here anyway. I used to have decks, and if you actually look at the very first video on this channel, you'll see that I actually was mixing with very basic decks and a mixer. But I can mix, but because of financial restrictions, I haven't been able to buy turntables or CDJs. So instead, I've just been limited to using my laptops. Well, really, I started mixing on on a computer, but then I bought decks and bought a mixer and decided to start mixing, sort of trial and error stuff really. I was very shit at the beginning, and I'm sure if I jumped on the decks now, on actual physical decks, I'd probably had to practice a lot before I got to the same levels as I could produce on a laptop. But I try not to cheat on a laptop. Actually, I try to actually genuinely mix. Now I don't hit sync. I used to sometimes in the past, but I don't do that anymore. I actually try to just mix it. The way I do that is because you can't actually pre-listen. You can't listen to the track that's coming in. So the only way to do that without ruining your mix, because you're trying to record it obviously, is to is to look at the bars, to look at the bars on the screen, and sort of just judge, obviously judge whether something it needs pitching up or down. Because you can't use your ears, so you're gonna have to compensate by using your eyes instead of your ears. So that's how I do it. One of the ways you can do that as well is to if you don't want to hit the sync and you actually genuinely want to mix, is to use a bit of tape over the BPM readers, out reader. And one of the ways in which I DJs, the way in which I DJ normally is to for sets that I do for Mixcloud and SoundCloud, I plan those sets. I don't just throw a load of tracks together, whatever that is, because it's not a dance floor. I'm not reading the crowd or anything. That's a whole different skill altogether, and something I haven't got yet because I haven't actually really done that. So, but in terms of mixing, producing a mix from online, something's going to be there hopefully forever. Well, maybe not forever, but hopefully for a while. People can listen to it if they want to. It's there, and most of those sets that are on my Mixcloud, SoundCloud, most of them have been planned. They've been put into a formula that I think works best, that shows that the keys match, the feel of the tracks work together, and obviously so sometimes it's just about contrasts. You don't want to have 3 or 4 tracks together exactly the same. I don't like mixes like that anyway. I don't like mixes that are all more or less the same feel, the same vibe. That's not kind of what DJing is supposed to be about in my view. But there's a massive, like I said, there's a massive difference between mixing for a crowd of people, whether that's 30 people or 300, 3,000, and those things in themselves are completely different. Every club's different, every crowd's different, every night's different. Your mood might be different from one night to the other, and so on. But in terms of producing mixes for online, you've got that's the great thing about that, is you've got the freedom and the time to choose what tracks you want to use. Put them in. I write them down. Be honest, I write down my tracks. I write them in a list. Normally for a drum and bass set for about an hour, 55 minutes to 1 hour, I tend to have about 20 tracks. Something. It can be more, it can be less, but it's about 18 to 20 tracks. Because I don't tend to play too long. I tend to play maybe about 2 or 3 minutes a track or something. So it could be free. It's about three, sometimes 4 minutes, sometimes 3.5, whatever. I'm not good at maths. Well, not as good as I should be. But yeah. Which is strange because DJing requires some level of maths. But yeah, and for a house set, it depends on. For me, DJing is about. I have to sort of feel inspired. I have to feel, and that sometimes that inspiration comes from watching other DJs and listening to sets, and just running on a sort of feeling really. Sometimes I just want to mix a set. I just want to mix. I want someday I really want to mix a drum and bass set. Next day I want to mix a techno set, minimal techno set. I want to mix a house set or whatever, dubstep set. but for me, I've got to find the right tracks. It's if I'm going to put something online that's going to be there for God knows how many years. Not that it matters really at the end of the day. It's just a mix. But for me, it's important because it's that's one of the most creative things I do online, and that's my a form of expression really. It's emotional expression to some extent, creative expression, whatever. Um, but I try to find the best tracks that are out there. Some stuff that's obviously old, and some stuff that's fairly new, or some stuff that's pretty much brand new. And I spend time putting them in the right order. Partly because I want to be able to mix them properly, and partly because I like a set to feel like it has some direction to it. If there's no direction, it's pointless really. I don't see the point in DJing if you haven't got some um, some sort of formula for it. But you know, you could say the way I do it is not realistic, and it's not how DJs should really do things, or certainly the professional, experienced DJs, and that's true. We've got to remember I'm mixing to put it online, and also for my personal use to listen back to as well. Um, and of course, I'm mixing for other people as well. It's not just for me, but I'd say ultimately it's for me because it's that they're my mixes, and they're things I want to make. And 5 years from now, I want to be able to listen back to them. Perhaps if I'm in that kind of mood, I might want to listen back to it. So for me, I try to mix. I try to EQ very very subtly, and some of that the way I mix is sort of honestly it's influenced by Scream, Seth Troxler. Um, I think really those two DJs are really the two people that have inspired me the most. Scream because of the way it's just sort of, he's got this very not so much aggressive but more passionate kind of way of mixing and throwing things in sort of sometimes when you least expect it, or just really hard hitting tracks. Just his whole demeanor, something about his personality when he's behind the decks. I don't know what it is, but just something special about that. And then we've got Seth Troxler on, who I believe I think his mix is performed together with Scream and Eats Everything and Jack Master and other people who are all well-known DJs, and I'm pretty certain they're all more or less friends. Very well, obviously very much aware of each other's positions or whatever. But Seth Troxler is someone that I take my hat off to, because he's like Scream, and that's why I've got a lot of respect for Scream and Seth Troxler, because they've been doing, they've been producing. Well, Scream's more of a producer really than he's a DJ, but whereas Seth's more of a DJ than a producer, although they've both done both aspects, and amongst other things, I'm sure, not just DJing. Well, they're both talented producers. We've got to say that they're both talented producers. They're both really changed the genre of electronic quality underground dance music. Rather, they've pushed it. Certainly, Scream, because he influenced and was one of the main pioneers, apparently, of the early dubstep scene. It really helped to bring dubstep into the commercial light, whether that's a positive or negative, whatever. And Seth, on the other hand, has helped to develop uh, the underground scene, because he's brought sort of minimal tech stuff out into the open, and just really sort of, I think Seth Trox has really perfected the art of DJing in some ways, and listening to just listen. If you just go and listen to sets by Scream and Seth Troxler, not all, but a lot, there's a fair number of them. Just amazing selections, just amazing mixing, just incredible, just amazing mixing. I don't know what else to say about it. But certainly Seth Troxler, I think, is a little bit better, because not better, but it's different, because it's more smoother, more subtle, and I think that's mostly because of the way, the style of music he plays. But yeah, that's really my influence in DJing. So my style of DJing is not original as such. I mean, I do effects and stuff like that whilst I'm mixing. That I haven't really had too many DJs do exactly like I do it, and that's the point. I'm not trying to copy anyone. I've just been influenced and inspired really in that way. But I'm not trying to copy Scream. Not trying to copy Seth. I'm just doing what I like. I like that style of mixing, and of course I mix. It's somewhere sometimes I mix differently depending on what the genre is, and even depending on what the track that is I'm trying to bring in, or the track I'm taking out. Anyway, waffling on again. But yeah, so that's DJing really, and I could talk about it for hours. There's so many different aspects to it, and but my clubbing days are over really. I think I'll just leave it with that. With this, I have been clubbing. I did all that in the early 2010s. 2011, 2012, 2013, up until 2017 when I actually saw Seth Troxler. Still need to go and see Scream though. I've got to do some things. I've got to get out there again at some point. But I'm nearly 30 and kind of just feeling a bit old and just exhausted, and kind of just wanted a break from all that stuff. But I still love music. I still love dancing. I still love to go clubbing and drink and all that kind of crap. But you know, as you get older, you got to calm down and sort of balance yourself a bit more. And you know, it's not as, you know, hangovers seem to take a bit longer than when you were in your early 20s. Anyway, so yeah, so that's that. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Let's check out, and I'll see you in the next video, which is maybe tomorrow or at the weekend. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye.